my leg not only works around, right, and everything works around, it also works back, okay? So that can be done a bunch of different ways. If we specifically look at the femur, your quads here, and your kneecap, as it's working around, it's also getting farther away from the golf ball. It's getting farther away from the golf ball. So my lead hip is gaining depth, but the femur's getting farther away. So as I'm feeling my belt buckle, my belly button, my kneecap, quad, all that turning, I'm also getting my leg farther from the golf ball. It's putting weight back into my left heel. Let's go ahead and feel that. So turning and getting farther. That would be the next piece for me to start to add more rotation. Hey guys, Eric here outside at the Bethlehem Golf Club. In today's video, we're going to talk about lower body rotation. Really my favorite feels, what you should be thinking about and doing during the downswing with your lower body, especially if you want to increase that rotation. Before we dive in, if you are interested in working with me for some in-person lessons, would love to have you. We'll put a link down in the description down below. If you can't make it for in-person lessons, I would still love to work with you at cogornogolf.com. That's where we can work together, where regardless of where you're at, you can send me in your swings, analyze your swing, put a specific 4-week practice plan together. I'm in there every day communicating with members. Would love to have you in there, get access to all of our master classes, practice plan, all that. cogornogolf.com, link is in the description down below. So lower body rotation during the downswing. Now there's two key things that I'd like for you to be aware of, and let's talk about in terms of how the lower body works. A lot of people will come into me, and whether it's in person or online, and they are aware that at impact, they have no hip rotation, so they're very square at impact, and they're aware that they should have some amount of hip rotation, 20, 30, 40 degrees, right? We're aware of the fact that our hips, our rib cage should be open some amount if we want to hit the ball very well, have some club face control, etc. So once they're aware of that, they say, well, Eric, give me a solution. How do I rotate and open my hips? And there's a ton of drills we can do, but there's two things that I want to key in on here. And let's start with how the left leg works. Now, during my downswing, my left leg, my femur here, where my quad is at, works around and back. My left leg, my quad here, as I start my downswing, works around and back. So as I'm doing the around part, my leg, my quad, my femur is working around. My kneecap is starting to point towards the target. Now, is just my leg working around with no hip or rib cage or anything like that? No, right? Of course not. It's not just a leg Elvis motion. As this works around, my belt buckle, my belly button, and my stomach, my abs, my core, all that works around together. So as I'm starting these feels, as I want to create some rotation, I want to start with the around part. I'm just going to hit some little shots to get started here. I'm going to feel my femur working around and my kneecap getting pointed towards the target a little bit sooner. Just do a little half one with that. And that's going to be one of the initial feels that I want to get used to if I want to get more turn. Now we're going to talk in a little bit about maybe you have enough turn or what else. This is specifically, you know you need more turn, what to do. So this part of my leg gets pulled around my kneecap towards the target. Now I said when I do that, as that goes around, really my pelvis or my hips, right, my left hip, my belly button, my belt buckle, all of that is pointing or turning towards the target when I do that. So I like to feel as this goes around, my kneecap goes around, I'm also feeling my belly button and my belt buckle are also turning and opening at a 1-to-1 rate along with that. Let's go ahead and feel that. Left leg works around, belly button with it. And that's another piece that I like to feel to help the hip rotation. People like that feel. And you're feeling that right away as you start your downswing. So it's immediately as I'm getting up to the top of my backswing, I'm feeling this leg working around, kneecap towards the target, hip works around, belly button, right, belt buckle. That's 6 different things. Maybe you only think about one of those. Let's do one more with that. Still focusing on the around part, everything's turning. All of this is also turning with it as I work through. So left leg, stomach, and all that around. Good, that feels really nice. Now the second part I mentioned was it also goes back. My leg not only works around, right, and everything works around, it also works back, okay? So that can be done a bunch of different ways. If we specifically look at the femur, your quads here, and your kneecap, as it's working around, it's also getting farther away from the golf ball. It's getting farther away from the golf ball. So my lead hip is gaining depth, but the femur's getting farther away. So as I'm feeling my belt buckle, my belly button, my kneecap, quad, all that turning, I'm also getting my leg farther from the golf ball. It's putting weight back into my left heel. Let's go ahead and feel that. So turning and getting farther. That would be the next piece for me to start to add more rotation, both of those feels. So start with that. Obviously you want to cord yourself, right? Exaggerate as needed. And then the last piece to this is when I make a swing and I'm doing this turn, right? A lot of people who want more turn end up turning without any shift or the extension part. So just keep this little piece in mind. As my leg's working around, as it's working back, my finger's working back away from the golf ball, I also want my belt buckle and my belly button, they don't just turn towards the ball but stay back. As they're turning towards the ball, they're also pushing forward and up so that they get over my left leg. I don't want to be turned and back. I want to be turning and pushing forward and up. So if I feel my belly button, my belt buckle, turning as my femur works around here, I just want to make sure as I'm going, I'm also pushing up with it. So up and forward with the belt buckle, belly button, as it works around and back. And that's basically, that's the best one I hit. That's like all of the hip motion in one. And obviously we're talking about the details here, so that can be a little bit of a lot and confusing if you've never heard it, but it's really simple in nature in terms of your movement. Work this around, work it back, push this forward. Work this around, work this back as it goes around, push this forward. So belt buckle up and forward as it's going around and back. There again, and that's about as good as I can hit them. So those are the motions. That's how I'd start this process. You have to record yourself, okay? You have to exaggerate. You likely need to start a little bit slower, like your first couple motions when you're doing this, because you say, hey, Eric, I tried this rotation thing, it didn't work. No. Okay. In the beginning phase of this, I might need to go at this sort of pace. Up to the top, really slow in transition. Feel my leg working around, not just my leg though, my hips go with it, my core goes with it, working deeper and pushing forward. I'm gonna probably feel it at this sort of pace, right? That's how slow you likely need to go in the beginning. So that's some lower body rotation driven by the pelvis, which shows itself in the lead leg a little bit. Make sure you push your hips up. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Hey guys, thanks for watching today's video. If you like the video, if you want to support the channel, go ahead and click that like button down below, click the subscribe, leave a comment down. The more of that we do, the more our videos get out to more people. I would really genuinely appreciate if you guys can do that. If you enjoyed this style video, we're going to put a card on the screen for a similar YouTube video. If you'd want to work with me, I would love to work with you at cogornogolf.com. We'll also put that on. Would love to see you there.